Let's go. As we have some other updates in the bracket, to be fair, just to quickly catch everyone up. Dark versus Beyond did complete, and Dark did 2-0 Beyond.
Oh, not something you see too often amongst those two, and so yeah, Dark's gonna be waiting a little while for an opponent. I would love to see Ragnarok versus Dark, but we shall see. And in the meantime, we shall have another series on our hands. Still a best of 3, but now it is for all the marbles in a semifinals. Winner of this advances to the Grande Finales. As over here in the bottom right-hand quarter of Babylon, over here all the way in the bottom right-hand corner, we have our blue Terran player coming out from the land of China. He, of course, is going to be representing Dragon Kaizi Gaming, DKG. We have Oliveira.
And
rear naked choke.
Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Babylon, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss player representing Team Abydos. It is Creator.
With the elliptical machine.
True. With the elliptical.
He's gonna lick. He's gonna lick day his way out of the rear naked choke.
He is ready to wrestle. He is ready to throw down here with Oliveira. Oh boy, but likewise, the fact that Oliveira was able to take down Classic 2-0 is no easy feat. Definitely going to be looking at him in this series. I wouldn't be surprised if this goes all the way to the ace match. I would be surprised if we just get a straight up 2-0 either way.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna have to be either a complete 2-0, or it's gonna have to be a very close 2-1. Wait, let me clarify. What I mean is,
you're not wrong.
what I mean is, it's either gonna be completely one-sided. This first game is gonna give us. What I mean is, game number 1 is gonna set the tone for the rest of this series. If it's a very close game, then the rest of the series is going to be very close as well. If it's a complete bop either way, then I think game number 2 is going to go the exact same way. That's what I mean.
I agree wholeheartedly, Yaku. You know, I think this is going to be very telling depending on how this does turn out. We do see a double gas opener here from Oliveira. Going to be getting into his 1-1-1. Going to be delaying his CC and even throws down the CC on the high ground as well. So he's going to be keeping Creator in the dark as he does go across the map with that first Reaper to try and get a scout off.
Indeed, but oh, look at that. You already have a wall.
The wall is a wall, and Creator here on Babylon is going to be going for a Twilight Council opener.
Yeah, very, very different from his PvZ styles, and one that is fairly logical and rational. I do like that Creator's kind of doing more of an old school Blink first instead of going into Phoenixes or Oracles in the Twilight Councils like we have been seeing from players like, say, Max Pax or even Hero in PvT. Which gives him a lot of versatility here. Creator, with his Stalkers, he can defend, he can be aggressive across the map if he sees an opportunity. He's already working on the Robo Bay to get either an Observer or a Warp Prism if he ever finds an opportunity to blink into the main base. And interesting choice here from both Oliveira and Creator to for Oliveira to go on the low ground with his Widow Mines and for Creator to go across the map with the... I guess not so odd for Creator in hindsight, but interesting choice here from Oliveira to kind of reveal that he is going for a mine drop, or at least his original plan was to go for a mine drop.
Yes, he's actually moving out with everything here. He's got his mines, he's got vanilla marines, and that one medevac. So this is a very offbeat push. This we actually have seen this kind of rise as well. I've seen Maru and Beyond whip this out as well. So no surprise that Oliveira is on this train. If we did have a 2-gate opener, then Creator would be in trouble. But thankfully, he has plenty of production going his way. He has a blink as well, or he has plenty of stalkers to slow this down.
Yeah, this is almost feels like a counter build coming up from Creator, because, oh, very nice micro here, avoiding one of these Widow Mines. The other Widow Mine actually didn't got yet. But yeah, this almost feels like a counter build here coming out from Creator, because Oliveira, behind all of this, he was also working on a Liberator, which would have provided a lot of support. And what do you want against Liberators? Void Rays. Well, what do you do if you can't get Void Rays? Phoenixes. Well, what do you do if you can't get Phoenixes? Stalkers. Obviously.
There you go, and the Stalkers have arrived. Creator is able to deflect this opener without losing too much. There's that third base now on the way as well, and Creator now has that map control. He doesn't have an abundance in gateways, as we do quickly check. He only has 3 gateways right now, so he's not too committed, but despite that, he is going to be looking to slip into the main base, and he can force a delay on some of this production.
Yeah, Creator is still playing fairly greedy, which is why it's super important that he does go across the map with his Warp Prism. He wants to, as long and as best as possible, try to keep Oliveira on his own side of the map so that he doesn't get punished for taking this third base, or does for his lack of Warp Prisms, which is exactly what Oliveira is trying to do right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Going down.
Unfortunately, Oliveira just doesn't have a lot right now. These 4 Stalkers have gone insane. They take down every single Marine. They're going for the Raven as well. The tank does siege, and looks like Oliveira will maintain control of his main base, but not without losing 7 SCVs. At the same time, that drop across the map is trying to find some damage. Gets a handful of probes, but not too much.
Yeah, just kind of unfortunate how the openings panned out here for Oliveira. By the time he got back home, he didn't have enough to be able to attack and defend at the same time, which is what you typically want to do in, I guess, any game of StarCraft, but it was especially important here because he knew Creator was going to come across the map for some counter harass, but at the same time, he also needed to dedicate some of his units to keep Creator's economy down. It's the most imperative thing here when you're going for a build like this from Oliveira.
Exactly, and now we just see a mine shot is going to be going off. Is going to be weakening up this prism for the time being. Is going to have to get the hell out of there. But for the most part, Creator has come out on top in these openers. He has his third base. He's been able to trade more efficiently, and he may even just barely get this bunker. Oh,
just barely, but he doesn't want to commit too far into a siege tank, especially when all of his stalkers are down. Most of his stalkers are down to the red. Thankfully, he doesn't have to worry about that for too much longer, as Creator works on his transition. Charge is on the way, and Storm is about to finish up. I'm a little bit surprised that we don't have a Robo Bay just yet. I think a lot of Protoss players do like to prioritize Colossus instead of High Templar, but not Creator. You know, it's too mainstream for him.
Yeah, to be fair, this time, this is the hero style, if you remember. Hero, he does prioritize that Storm instead, kind of a more versatile, a very risky way to play out PvT, but does have a lot of power in it as well if you're able to connect with those Storms. And speaking of, here we go!
And I was just gonna say it's a very big if, because Hero is one of the few players who has that control to pull it off, but Creator continually and consistently kept eyes on that bio army of Oliveira, and he didn't need super tight control. He just needed good timing.
Yeah,
and he had fantastic timing with that Storm.
He really did. The Storms blanket the armies of Oliveira, and Creator's rushing across the map. He has charge. He's getting on top of the tanks. Mine shots are going to be going off, which is great. We do have a disable on the Prism, but the Zealots are still wreaking havoc on the ground army of Oliveira.
Yeah, now that the Immortals are coming in to fight this naked tank, GG is called, and Creator takes game number 1. Not the most one-sided game here, but definitely one that it felt like Creator was never out of control, which potentially is a bit of a sign to how the rest of the series is going to go.
Yeah, Creator, he was just doing such a great job at punishing the build of Oliveira. We saw that Oliveira was hyper-aggressive, not just pushing out initially with his first wave of Marines and his Widow Mines, but even after that, he sent his first Cyclone and more Marines across the map just to go for some drop harass and do some damage, which meant that he had nothing back at home, and those 4 Stalkers that we saw slip into the main base did an insane amount of damage, and Creator had plenty at home to defend as well. Thankfully, he wasn't being too greedy and he didn't rush into his third like I'm sure Oliveira was hoping he would.
I have to wonder if Oliveira was able to scout the Warp Prism pretty early on. Because after his opening got deflected, Oliveira was working on a bit of a defense, but again, at this stage of the game, after your opening kind of flops like that, you cannot defend both your natural and your main base at the same time. So Oliveira was focusing on defending his main base. He sent his 1 tank into the low ground, right by his barracks. But that's not where Creator decided to slip in from. Creator went in right from the back, and Oliveira was really hoping that Creator wouldn't have that ability. But twas not to be, or twas meant to be, or something happened. As we go on to game number 2 here on Gresvan. We're here in the top left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the top left-hand corner. We have our blue Terran player coming out from the land of Shanghai. He's going to be representing Dragon Kaizi Gaming, DKG. And he is godlike, but he seems godlike, but he is but a normal man who works very, very hard. He is Oliveira.
To be or not to be?
Oh, that is Nier Automata.
As spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Gresan, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss player representing Team Abydos. Currently up 1-0 in this best of 3 series. It is Creator.
Tis.
It is. Yeah, and again, Creator just reading Oliveira so well in game 1, just doing such a great job at shutting down any kind of all of Oliveira's aggression. Not just that, but those storms. It was a risky move to go for them. It can be really difficult to actually have them pay off, but the storms were so juicy from Creator as well.
That one storm just shut everything down from Oliveira. You could almost see in his movement and in his micro. I'm pretty sure I heard a nope come out from my stream somehow. Come out from those Marines somehow. Immediately he turned around. Fortunately, it was a little bit too late to unsiege the tanks until much later, but yeah. He just knew he had to dip out.
Yeah, exactly, but not without taking some damage, and we'll see how things will change, as bearing in mind Creator does still have his probe quite active here towards the bottom left-hand corner of the map. He was able to force a bit of an offset natural base here from Oliveira. Not the biggest of deals, but again, just keep an eye on this probe, as it's maybe looking to just dip back in, try to get a follow-up scout, as Oliveira, he's going for a proxy of his own.
He suspected so. That actually makes a lot more sense. I was gonna say he suspected something, as that was where Creator's probe was earlier, but yeah, this makes a lot more sense, going for a bit of a proxy barracks? Starport, there we go. Yeah. Proxy starport coming down from Oliveira. Gonna be probably not going to be any banshees or anything like that. Most likely he's gonna meet his barracks units or his Hellions with medevac. Nice little extra delay here for Creator. Oh, but this is scouted.
This is huge. Okay, so Creator, he slips into the main base. I don't know if you can see the production right now, but this is a 2-1-1. This is a second ranks, and we have the starport across the map. So very unorthodox build here, but we have seen rise in popularity in TvP. But the lack of starport was scouted by Creator, and that should tip him off.
It really should. A Phoenix is already on the way, which is another pretty interesting choice here. He hasn't scouted the starport just yet, but for all he knows, it's, like you said, it's a huge tell that it's going to be a 2-1-1. And these Phoenixes, not only can they deny medevacs, they can also do a pretty good job of just lifting up any stray Hellions that might try to sneak into the main base or sneak into a mineral line.
Yeah, and here we go. We do lift up 3 Hellions. We boost into the main base. We have a pylon to spot, to scout, but the Phoenixes are in position. They can only pick up a handful of these Hellions, so damage is going to be done.
And one of them already gets picked up, but it only takes 2 Hellions, theoretically anyway, if you get the perfect alignment. It only takes 2 Hellions to one-shot probes. Not if there's a shield battery in position, though, and not if one of those Hellions is lifted, as once again, Oliveira's opening just gets completely shut down by Creator. He's chasing after the starport!
He is chasing after the starport. Again, everything has been scattered. He's aware of the commitment into bio here from Oliveira. And because the starport was proxied, it does mean that any kind of 2-on-1 drop is going to be that much more delayed.
And now Creator knows that he has plenty of time to prepare, and he is just making use of that time. Third base is on the way. Twilight Council gets thrown down. I wouldn't be surprised if he throws down even more tech here, like a like a robo facility or something like that.
Yeah, there's no reason not to, as the Phoenixes are going to be chipping away at that starport. Meanwhile, they do scout across the map, confirm the Marine count, they confirm the Cyclone as well. Of course, the Phoenixes will have to leave that starport alone for the time being, but Oliveira is kind of stuck at home. He's under house arrest for the time being, maybe forever, because Creator is going to be doing the best job he can to make sure that any kind of drop doesn't get out of the main base of Oliveira.
Yeah, and while this is all going on, he's still going to be trying to get a little bit more damage to make sure that he's perpetually ahead when it comes to the worker count. There are a couple of Marines here, though, from Oliveira, so it's still something that Creator's going to have to be mindful of. He's not quite going to be able to really snowball from here, but maybe this proxy will be what does it.
Yeah, as we're setting up a proxy gateway for Creator, this will help scout a drop, but also help reinforce across the map as well. It looks like Creator wants to avoid the Robo, he wants to avoid the Prism, wants to just focus on taking up into Charge Lot Archon and working towards one major push. The gateway explosion is upon us, and Creator is basically waiting for the moment when Oliveira tries to expand and take a third.
Yeah, definitely a risky choice here for Creator to try to go Swarm Toss with Phoenixes, but now that the Templar Archives finished up, I do like this a little bit more. I say risky because, you know, he is going for mass charge, but because of the opening of Oliveira, he is able to pump out 2 Widow Mines at a time.
He is. Meanwhile, Creator, he dips in, and I wonder if he noticed that the Marine count is looking a little bit thinner than it once was, as we do have a double drop going towards the southern portion of the map. There is a pylon to scout, but will it be able to spot this drop in time, as the drop does avoid the pylon?
Whew. Very, very close. Creator sees the army move out, and he's using this as an opportunity to catch a couple of units off guard, but yeah, he really does need to start warping in back at home and get some of his defenses. A multi-prong attack here from Oliveira could just about kill him.
Yeah, he goes to the Doom drop, but the Phoenixes are waiting for him in the main base. One medevac is going to go down.
Wow, I didn't even notice he was continuing to build Phoenixes there. Well, I did, but my brain didn't acknowledge it for some reason. I was like, oh yeah, he's building more Phoenixes. He doesn't have any Phoenixes. But yeah, some really nice Widow Mine shots go off on these Zealots, but it is not going to be enough. Medevacs are in a lot of trouble down there. So many Phoenixes that now individual Marines can start being picked off. G is called as Creator takes this series 2-0 and makes it all the way to the grand finals. He is on an absolute tear tonight as Creator. Dominates Sue, then dominates Solar, and now just asserting his control in the PvT matchup against Oliveira. He hasn't dropped a single map yet, has he?
He has not. GG, well played. That was a really strong performance out of Creator in that series. Like, Oliveira at every turn in both Game 1 and Game 2, he just couldn't really get into his builds. He was being shut down at every turn. Creator was just all over him. Oh my god.
Yeah. That was insane to witness. It was insane to witness because it's been a long time since I've seen a PvT that was just that just ended before it could get going. Not once, but twice in a series like this. It's absolutely insane. You know, a lot of times we do see the Protoss players, if they're more active or aggressive in the early game, it's usually with gateway units and whatnot. And if they're more otherwise they're a lot more passive. But here, Creator just he shook Oliveira is what it was. Leg day, one against the rear naked choke. And he was able to, he was able to just contain Oliveira till he starved out.
Yeah, really impressive stuff. Really impressive play there from Creator. He shut down the proxy starport. He scouted the 2-1 or the bio opener, the 2-on-1. He denied the double drop into the main base. The Zealots were just wreaking havoc as well to take some mind shots to the face, but for the most part, he was so ready for that push and completely shut it down. And with that Creator, he makes it to the grand finals, deservedly so. Deservedly so.
Very much so. He, like we said, has not dropped a single map yet in tonight's tournament, and he is just looking completely in form. I also want to point out that series happened just after Oliveira 2-0 Classic, so I'm sure Oliveira's feeling pretty confident coming up against Creator here, but